Good morning. How are you? Well, it's in the 50s out here in Virginia. It's overcast. I don't think it's going to rain, but it sure doesn't look great. But here I am in my cathedral of trees. And I don't know that I'm going to preach, but there are a couple of terrible things going on. And one, of course, is the fact that we can't support an independent commission to do what's necessary to basically show who in the White House, who on the Hill, and what groups, including a lot of military, had something to do with the insurrection on January the 6th, in which, if they had their way, they would overthrow the government, they would kill the vice president, and take as a hostage the Speaker of the House. Now, some people would think that that was really a bad prescription for a country and would be eager to have a commission to investigate it and find out basically who shot John. But we have cowardice really on both sides of the aisle, and the principal offenders are, of course, the Republicans, because they're the most likely to be revealed for their role in being either complicit in the insurrection on January the 6th. And I'd say there are probably at least 10 Republicans, maybe more, who would vote the right way. But McConnell went and leaned on every one of them. And so we couldn't quite get 10. And then it wasn't helped by the fact that 11 members of Congress left town and didn't vote at all. 2 of them were Democrats. So where do we stand with that? Well, I think that's a discouraging profile in cowardice rather than courage. We have also information, and this is, I think, the news part of it that you may already be aware of, that this past Wednesday, the Democrats in their caucus had a meeting, and part of it was to talk about why we should get rid of the filibuster, the 60-vote minimum that is making it difficult for Democrats to fulfill an agenda set by Biden. And one of the senators from Maine gave a pretty pointed presentation, it's reported, in that meeting, and it was aimed at Manchin. But here's the bad news. A Senate aide has disclosed that there are at least 10 Democrats who are resisting the filibuster. So this is not quite as simple. You think 20% of your caucus does not support the filibuster, which is the path to having the Biden plan pass. So how do we look at this? Well, if you do the que sera version of this, you say, well, at least it's not Trump and it's not bad legislation from Trump. And are we prepared to accept paralysis? And my answer is no. These issues are too important about voting, racial rights, about helping America build better again with the internal improvements, if you will, the infrastructure bill. So there's so much that we need to get done. We need to have the Democrats come up to the table and do what they were promising in the election they would accomplish, that they now seem unable to accomplish. So when you hear Schumer saying, well, we're going to try another vote, we're going to do this, it's an admission, though it's not stated, that in his own caucus, he has 10 members, not just Manchin, that he can't control. And with all the promises and power that he should have, it's not enough. And they're trying to figure out, I guess, how to get to the midterms, gain more members so that they can have an active agenda. This means a couple of things. One is that we, the voters, have to pick up the weight and give some backbone to elected officials, as we did when Trump was in power in the White House. But it also means we have to look for ways outside the Congress to get things done. And the executive, Biden, is one of those places. And he's got to step up. And stepping up in this case means if you can't get the Hill to have a decent investigation, then you got to do it with one of your executive orders or in the other ways you can. Just choosing one of these issues, take a look at Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's an historical tragedy of great proportion. And you know, it started with something simple. A young man got in an elevator, and the woman operating the elevator was in there, and there was an accusation of something happening. As a result of it, he was arrested, a black boy, for assaulting a white girl, and he was taken to the Hooskow. Then there was an effort to have him removed by some white activists, presumably to lynch him, and this was offset by black citizens who came to defend him. And this went back and forth, and finally the white community got so concerned that there was going to be a black uprising. They just went crazy, and they started killing people and attacking homes. I think it was the Greenwood section, which was called Black Wall Street. So it's a long story, and in the end, a lot of homes were destroyed. Persons, black and white, were killed. The black community suffered the most because they were outnumbered. And the entire incident, pardon the expression, was buried. At the end of the day, what happened to that young boy? He was released because it was decided the worst that happened was he may have bumped into her and nothing more than that. So we had this tremendous historic tragedy, and all of it was avoidable if people had acted responsibly. But what you find, whether it's on the Hill or it's in the communities, that so often what is rational is not what impels people to act. The irrational, the craziness of humans takes over, and these disastrous results occur. Now, this resembles to me the experience I had as a young man in Germany. I went to Dachau. I was riding a motorcycle, solitary pass up to this place, and you see the sign Arbeit macht frei, work makes you free, at a place where they were punishing Jews just for being Jews, for the belief system that they were responsible for the woes of Germany under Hitler's rule. And when I left that place, I remember thinking and feeling, having seen where they stayed in the gas showers where they were killed, that I just wanted to scream to the rest of civilization about this long ago past event. How could you not be reacting to it? And that's what America is doing in relation to Tulsa, Oklahoma. But we don't have to go back to Tulsa. We have that kind of racism right here in the here and now, one by one. Racist police are doing this to people, and Congress is not passing legislation that would redress this wrong. So as a result, this racist violence persists, and that's intolerable. And why should we have to wait until the midterms or until the presidential election to cure it? Why has the nation had to wait 100 years from 1921, when Tulsa, Oklahoma happened, to 2021? That's not a government that's working. That's not a government that's responsive. But that is our America. And we have to change it. That's why the Constitution says we the people. That's what it says. It says we the people are supposed to determine these things. Now, we have a lot of allies on the Hill, but we don't have enough. And we have to continue to target Manchin and Sinema and all these others who drag their feet and act as if, well, what am I going to do? Well, the answer is do your job or get the hell out of office. It's just not tolerable that we have these kinds of people and that there are Americans suffering, we the people, because these guys won't do their jobs right. I don't believe every Republican was involved in the insurrection. I believe most of the Republicans in the Senate were not, and therefore had fears of being a victim like anyone else. And those people have got to get a backbone. And the Democrats have got to take those 10 Democrats or whatever the number is and sit them down and say, look, you're either with us or against us. Why are you here if you're not going to do the important legislation this nation requires? So that's my thinking of the day, and I'm going to go back to my chili walk, and I hope you're okay, and I'll talk to you tomorrow on Memorial Day. All the best. Bye-bye.